Hey there guys, how's it going? This is Noah from eSports and welcome back to part number 2 of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. And in today's video, part number 2, we're going to be heading to Australia for ironsport GP's first Formula 1 Grand Prix. It's going to be a very exciting race, I hope. Hopefully we can get a couple points if we're good enough. But anyway, before we get into this video, I do want to remind any of you guys that have not already seen part number 1 of this My Team Career Mode to go check that out right now and then come straight back to this one, because this one is probably going to be a little bit better than that, but it's not going to be nearly as fun to watch this, obviously, unless you've seen the first part. And while I'm giving reminders to you guys, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're looking forward to part number 3 by the end of the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you do not miss part number 3. And yeah, anyway, I do want to take a look at our R&D chart in just a moment, because we are actually faster on the R&D chart than 3 different teams. Remember, we had some interviews and a few R&D points and a little bit of money to spend, as well as an engine choice, so we are doing pretty well. Obviously, as you can see, we are faster than Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Williams. And so I have to say, I'm pretty proud of the choices that I made in the interview and the powertrain selection. Remember, we have a Mercedes powertrain for the car, so the second best engine on the grid right now. So we're doing pretty doggone good right now. And apart from having a Mercedes engine, we also have an ignition system upgrade on the way on the power unit, so that's going to go pretty well for us. It's probably going to come in on the 16th of March if we can get it in for race number 3. It is probably going to fail, but hopefully it doesn't, and then we can get a nice little upgrade on the way. But that is it. Let's head over to the Australian GP weekend. We're going to take our first laps in the IR20 chassis. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the tire blankets are off. We are ready to get this thing up and running. ironsport GP has its IR20 taking its first laps on the track right at the beginning of the first practice session of the 2020 season. Here we go. Let's accelerate this thing right out of the pit lane and head right into the braking zone. I'm not going to take it too hard right off the bat, just because I want to take care of this thing. Remember, we do have to pay to repair cars if we damage them. Whoa, okay, we're in the grass. Not a great start. I guess this is kind of a sign of what's to come in this My Team Career Mode. Here we come off of the final corner in our warm-up lap. We're up to speed, DRS engaged, and we are down the front straightaway to get our first lap in the IR20 going underway. Let's take it nice and gentle into turn number 1. Take it a little wide, just take care of the car. We've gotten our ERS objective complete. That's a few R&D points onto the board for this practice session. I'm mostly going to simulate through these. I'm not really going to show them to you guys. You'll just see at the top right, HQ, how many R&D points and how much money we have. But right now, we are actually catching up to Kimi Räikkönen, who's on his up-to-speed lap right now. We're going to have to take care of this car. This is actually a pretty solid lap, considering it's our first one in the car, although we are over 2/10 off of the target delta. But you know what? This is our first lap in the car. Let's just take care of it and make sure that we don't explode. So let's get into this turn. We got around Kimi Räikkönen. I turned in a little too early into the grass. That was a bad turn. We're going to lose a couple tenths there. But yeah, I just want to take care of this thing, get a couple laps in, get a feel for it, and then we'll get on to qualifying. But yeah, feels pretty good. I'm not used to driving this slow of a car, so I'm kind of pushing it a little bit too hard, even though I'm not trying to push it that hard. But as you can see, it is definitely costing me, as we are over 0.8 of a second behind our own target delta at the moment as we go into the final couple corners of this lap. So hopefully we can get this thing going pretty well at the end of the qualifying session. This is a qualifying practice program right now that we are running. So we're going to head into the corner, and I messed it up again. That is one of my worst corners in the game. But here we go off of the final corner to complete our first lap in the IR20 for ironsport GP, our own Formula 1 team. And we are going to be just over, or almost at 2.5 seconds behind our own target delta. So, oh lord, please help us in this My Team Career Mode, I guess. Alright, so in our pit-in lap, just coming to the pits, I ended up setting a purple Sector 1, although it was a red Sector 2, but you know, pretty good. So I'm actually starting to get a little bit more comfortable with the car already, so I'm actually doing pretty confident at the moment. I'm feeling very good about our chances to do well in this race. I'm actually very confident in it. So let's head into the pits, and I will see you guys for qualifying in just a moment. Alright, here we are in the ironsport GP garage, getting ready for our first qualifying session to get us our starting spot for our first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. It's going to be very exciting, so let's head straight into qualifying. I am just praying that we do okay. Alright, here we go, down the pit straight to start our first and only opportunity to qualify for the Australian Grand Prix in our first race as the ironsport GP Formula 1 team. And as we head into turn number 1, we are already down to P14, 15 as we come off of turn number 2. So we have lost quite a bit of time already, and this is not looking so great like a championship team, not like I expected that, but we are actually up to P11 as we go through these couple corners. P6, P4 actually, for a moment there before we fall back to P11 for just a second. Okay, final 2 corners. We're up to P11, P10 almost as we get into the corner, although we are going to have to lift just a little bit in the final corner as we come off the corner. It looks like it's going to be P12 in qualifying. So already this team is ahead of schedule in the Formula 1 Australian Grand Prix. Let's go! So there you have it. We are P12 in qualifying. Valtteri Bottas will be on the pole with Sebastian Vettel alongside, and Lewis Hamilton rounding out the podium qualifiers. But again, we are in P12, so just out of the points to start off the weekend in qualifying. Meaning that we actually ended up in front of a Racing Point as well as both AlphaTauris, both Alfa Romeos, both Haas's, our own teammate, as well as both Williams. So we did very, very well. I'm very, very excited about this. I mean, we are almost in the points-paying positions just to start off the weekend. There's Anton Hubert in 19th. He's our teammate, so pretty good for him as well. He beat 3 cars, so doing pretty well. Let's head on to the race in the Australian Grand Prix. Alright, last minute nerves, so to speak, in this Australian GP weekend as we are getting ready for our ironsport GP team's first Grand Prix. Let's get into it.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula 1. And yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Albon, Ricciardo, Sainz, Norris and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Falcon, Sergio Perez and Kvyat, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Kimi Raikkonen and Roman Grosjean, Hubert, Magnussen, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Alright, so strategy for race number 1 of our first season in the My Team career mode. We are going to be pitting from the soft compound tire on lap number 7, and we're going to go to the medium compound tire, so that's about what we're going to do. Hopefully everything will go smoothly on lap number 1 and we don't have to pit for damage or anything on lap number 1, and then we'll just go along with the strategy. So let's head to the formation lap. Alright, here's our final chance to get acclimated before we get this thing underway. The first race for ironsport GP, the first race in Formula 1. Here we go, lights are out and we are rolling for the first time on a Grand Prix race day. It's going to be a very, very exciting day if we can get some points. We are only 2 spots out of that position, so we can maybe get something going here. I'm hoping for a rocket launch start, and then we can get something going. So right now I'm just going to try and get through the gears, warm up the tires and brakes just like you always should, and then we're going to get this thing underway. But anyway, I'm not really going to push it too hard on this formation lap. I know that some people might want to just to get themselves fully acclimated, but right now I'm just going to kind of get a little bit of the last minute feel for the car going into the race. Again, with this starting position and the progress that we've made on the R&D, I'm really hoping that we can possibly get points in this race, maybe even just 1 point. That would be really nice to get this thing going. And so yeah, the nerves are definitely here if this is real life. Obviously, the first time owning a team and driving for it in a long time in Formula 1, so here we go. Alright, here we go, pulling into our 12th place grid spot at the Australian Formula 1 Grand Prix. Here we go, the grid is reforming for the race start. Race number 1 of season number 1 of our My Team career mode. Here we go. Lights are on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the 5 red lights are out. Here we go. And it is an absolutely blazing start for us as we get around Ocon and Stroll. And now we're going to try and go from 10th to the 9th position as we get inside of Lando Norris. But we've gone a little bit too hot into the corner. We're going to make contact with Albon and Verstappen, both Red Bulls at the same time. We're still trying to get around Alex Albon as we get a little bit of a slipstream. As we go into the brake zone, we're going to go for a pass on the Red Bull of all things. As we go into the corner, we're already in between 2 Red Bulls in the 6th position between the 5th and 7th of Verstappen and Albon. As we go through the kink, we're going to try and get Verstappen here into the brake zone this time. Clip the grass just a little bit, and we're going to make a huge lunge down on the inside, and we're going to get around Max Verstappen. And we are up to the 5th position, only the 2 Mercedes and the 2 Ferraris in front of us at the beginning of this Australian Grand Prix. It's a fantastic start. We're going to take a defensive line into the corner as Albon has already gotten around Verstappen. I think I may have damaged the Red Bull with that dive bomb move into the corner. Anyway, we've got Alex Albon right behind us. We're going to go defensive yet again, trying to make sure he cannot get around us. Alright, here we are on lap number 2. Going down the straightaway, Alex Albon makes a move to the inside. He backs out of it as we go into the right-hander. Back to the left, we are just barely behind the darn Ferrari of Charles Leclerc at the moment. In P5 is where we are. As we go through the kink, we're going to do our best to hold off Alex Albon as we're into the grass just a little bit. We almost hit the inside wall as we go down this slithering section of road in the Melbourne circuit, and we're just barely hanging on to Alex Albon as he's going to try and make a move going into the brake zone. We're going to go as defensive as we can, and he's unable to even start a move on us as we made a nice little Pruitt fade going into the corner, and he's unable to get us so far. However, as much as I would love to keep him behind us the entire race, it just seems almost impossible to do. Alright, now moving on a little bit farther into lap number 2 of the 15-lap Grand Prix, and we have headed into the double right-hander section with Alex Albon still behind us at the moment, and we are just barely hanging on by the tips of our fingers to hold on to this 5th position on Alex Albon as we go into the left-hander to come into the final corner on lap number 2, and we are going to put a lead foot hard down onto the gas pedal as we make a little bit of contact with the wall, maybe a little bit of damage as Valtteri Bottas, the race leader, sets the fastest lap of the race at the moment. We are still holding off Alex Albon, who now will have DRS in the next detection zone if he's still within a second, which is very likely considering he's in a Red Bull and we are in our first race as a Formula 1 team. Here he comes with DRS. Alex Albon trying to pass us in our first race as a Formula 1 team. He's unable to do it as we head in the braking zone perfectly on time. We're going to run a little bit wide as we went so hard into the braking zone to make sure he could not make any sort of dive bomb move. But we are not clear yet. Alex Albon into this next right-hander with hard brake zone. We may have to hold him off yet again. He's unable to make the move as we go into the braking zone. We are going to run a little bit wide here as we go back to the left, and it's going to be a hard time holding him off here. He's already almost next to us here. Double arrows as he goes to the left. We're going to go defensive, come back onto the racing line just a little bit, make sure he cannot quite get in there. We're going to squeeze him out, and we hold him off for now. Alright, coming on to the end of lap number 4 as we run wide just a little bit through the first of the double right-hander here at the end of the lap. Here comes Alex Albon to the inside. He's going to nose ahead of us just for a moment, make a little bit of contact with the left side of the Red Bull to our right side. As we go into the hard left-hand braking zone, we are going to hold off Alex Albon just for a moment, but he's going to have massive DRS. We have overtake mode engaged. We run wide just into the grass a little bit, almost into the outside wall, coming down the pit straight, and Alex Albon rockets past. We're not going to have anything for him. We're just going to let him go at this point. You know, he's a Red Bull. We're an Iron Sport GP car. There's no way that we're going to be fighting him at this point in the season. Let's just let him go and race to see another day. We still have to hold off Ricciardo and Sainz coming up behind us. And so after 2 red sectors on lap number 5, we come to the end of lap number 5, and we have lost over a second to Daniel Ricciardo, who in the next DRS zone will be eligible to use DRS, so we have to make sure that we pull away. Okay, here comes Ricardo, trying to make a move into the right-hander. He's unable to do it. We go defensive, down to the inside, although we're into the grass. Here comes Ricardo, trying to get around us. It's going to be an easy overtake for Ricardo as he goes right to the left side and goes by like a rocket ship. Carlos Sainz going to try and do the same thing, but he runs out of time. We're going to go right through this fast chicane, right to the back gearbox of Daniel Ricciardo here. A little bit of a screen freeze there as we try and survive this. Here comes Carlos Sainz. He's going to clear us going into the corner. We're going to make a massive dive bomb to try and hold on to this track position here, as I think we do have some damage from hitting the wall earlier, and I'm losing a ton of time right now. 2 red sectors in a row, yet again to start lap number 6. And yes, now that I have a moment, we do have damage on the left side of our front wing on a yellow status right now. So as we go into the right-hand corner, we're still pretty much on pace, but we are losing just fractions of a second through each sector, and Lando Norris is right on our tail. And as we head through the DRS zone with DRS, Lando Norris goes right in the brake zone, noses ahead of us for a moment. We make a little bit of contact, and we're going to get around him for the time being, just trying to hold him off until the pit stops here. Alrighty then, here we go into the pit stops for the first and only stop for Iron Sport GP to make during this Australian Grand Prix. We're going to be switching from the soft to the medium compound tires, and we're going to go with a replacement for the front wing and go from 5 to 6 on the downforce levels for this car, because I feel we're pretty good on the straights. I just want to have a little bit more performance going into the corner. Here we go into the pit stop. Let's make sure there's no issues here. We're going to replace the front wing, change all 4 tires onto the mediums, and here we go. We got a couple cars going by here, so we're going to have to wait just a moment, and now here we go. And so we're going to come out right behind Max Verstappen, followed by Pierre Gasly, followed by myself, with Sergio Perez in the racing point behind us.
See these tires through to the end now.
And so now we blend back onto the racing line. We're going to try and make up as much time as we can on fresh tires, on cold tires. We've got 2 cars in front of us that we may be able to pass here, Pierre Gasly and Max Verstappen. We're going to send it right down to the gearbox of the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly. Here we go, trying to make a run at him as we go into the next braking zone. Maybe we can get a pass done. This is for actual position on the racetrack. He is not going to make a stop, obviously. He came out of the pits with us, so we have to make this pass on the racetrack. Here we go into the braking zone. We're not going to be able to make a move here. Thought about it, but I decided better of it, so we're going to go all the way down this long flat out section with the slipstream of Pierre Gasly's AlphaTauri. And as we go down into the braking zone, we're way behind him, unable to make the move. We try and get as close as we can. We make a little bit of contact to the back of Pierre Gasly, and now we are back to flat foot racing here. And as we have no DRS, this is only slipstream as we try and gain on Pierre Gasly going into this extremely fast chicane. Onto the brakes, back onto the throttle. We're going to cut this corner just a little bit. Hopefully no warning. We get onto the outside curb. Now DRS has been activated. Huge run on Pierre Gasly right now, massively gaining as he goes into the brake zone. We may be able to make a move, unable to do it though, but we have gained a lot of time here on Pierre Gasly. We're going to try and make a move, maybe into this right-hander, unable to do it though. Cut into the grass a little bit, just try and make up as much time as we can, shorten this track. And here we go, into the right-hander. We make contact with the back of Pierre Gasly, and it's going to be a little bit of a run for us as we ended up getting out better than him on that, and we make a little bit more contact as he almost checked up in front of us there as he was still out of control. We have DRS here to assist us in passing Pierre Gasly. Here we come, cars coming out of the pits. Oh my goodness, okay, he almost hit Lance Stroll coming out of the pits. We're going to go to the outside of Gasly. We try to get on Ocon, but oh my gosh, what are you doing, Ocon? Blocking us on the corner, the middle of the corner, and we're going to have to try and make a pass on Ocon going into this braking zone. I'm going to go as aggressive as I can. We're going to try and come out in front of Ocon. We make a little bit of contact, but we have nosed out in front of him. We're going to try and pinch him here into the left-hander, and we are cleared for the final points paying position here at the Australian Grand Prix. We're into the grass just a little bit. I'm so focused on trying to beat other cars. I'm not even driving the track hardly anymore. Alright, here we go, coming on to start lap number 14, and we're into the grass yet again in that corner, the 3rd time this weekend that we go into the penultimate corner, coming out of it in the grass. Due to that mistake, we do now have Esteban Ocon with a huge DRS straightaway, now assisting him in his quest for the 10th position, the final points paying position. He's going to go down to the inside. We're going to try and pinch him. He hits the curb just a little bit and has to back out of it. We're still in the points paying position at the moment in our first race for Iron Sport GP, our own Formula 1 team in the My Team career mode. Here we go into the brake zone, still in front of Esteban Ocon. He is definitely faster than we are right now. Obviously on the R&D chart he's faster, and in this race at the moment he is faster than we are, but we are still in front for the time being. Hopefully we can just hold him off for now. We're doing very, very well to be in a points paying position. Alright, final lap of the Grand Prix, and we have a new fastest lap from Valtteri Bottas, and he will also win the Australian Grand Prix Meanwhile, we still have about a third of a lap to go as we hit the grass just a little bit, almost wiping out on the final lap of the Grand Prix, trying to hold off Esteban Ocon, who is now only 5/10 behind. And so with 3 corners left, we still have work to do to get our first point in our first race of our first season in the My Team Career Mode into the grass just a little bit, cutting the corner yet again, and now into our trouble spot on the racetrack. Just take it easy, nice and easy onto the curb. We're going to have a beautiful corner, and as we go through the final corner in the Australian Grand Prix, if we can just survive it and hold off Esteban Ocon, we will, and we are going to get our first point in our first race in the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yeah!
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Another superb Australian Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So there you have it. Valtteri Bottas is going to win the Australian Grand Prix with his Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton in second, Sebastian Vettel third, and Charles Leclerc fourth, so Mercedes, and then Ferrari the top 4. But we get our first point, finishing 10th place in the Australian Grand Prix, so that is absolutely fantastic for us to finish there in our first race of the My Team Career Mode. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly are the ones that we just barely edged out. Of course, Gasly started 15th on the grid and finished 12th. We started 12th and finished 10th on the grid, so very good race for us. So yeah, 10th place for us, edging out Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, and Sergio Perez, the first 3 out of the points behind us. And then Kvyat, Raikkonen, Magnussen, yada yada yada. Anyway, Anton Hubert, our teammate, he's going to finish 19th, right where he started, took care of the car, did a pretty good job. So I'm pretty proud of that as well. I'm pretty glad we selected him, the best available driver that we had from the selection of part number 1. Lance Stroll, of course, with a mechanical issue, he ended up not getting to finish this thing, starting 10th place at the beginning.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
Alright, so in all honesty, it was due to the team. We made some good decisions, we got a good car and everything, so that's going to help our acclaim, and that's our answer.
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
Alright, so right here, I can't really say that we didn't have enough downforce or the car was too heavy, because that's just going to kill the morale of our departments on the aero and chassis. So we're just going to say we didn't know what happened. It's going to hurt our acclaim, but we did boost it last answer, so that's going to be our answer for this one.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And so there you have it. Our ignition system upgrade came in. We got some resources and some money. We're up to 1.01 million. We're going to advance a little bit of time here after we assign our 2-day activity. We are going to put in the chassis team building exercise dinner. We're just going to put that in. It's 2 days long. It's not a whole lot of time to do anything. So we're just going to put in the chassis team building exercise, make sure that their morale is up, and that should do it. Now, another thing that we get to do after our first race, we do have enough acclaim to sign another sponsor, a secondary sponsor for our team. So we're going to go over to corporate, and you can see that we can sign a sponsor. And we're going to go with Atlantic just because they do have a really good weekly income. And they also have a solid goal bonus. So I want to put them on the car. And then I'll show you guys when I'm done putting the decals on the car what it is going to look like. So yeah, let's sign them onto the car, and let's take a look at our new livery. Alright, so there it is, our new livery. The same colors and paint job. The only thing we changed is a couple logos. I added more Pacifico logos as well as the Atlantic logos on there. So that, I think, looks pretty good. So I hope you guys like it. Another thing that we're going to do right before we wrap this episode up is just take a look at some upgrades that we're going to purchase with our R&D points. So we're going to upgrade the front wing main flap as well as the rear wing main plane. So that's going to cost us about 1,000 R&D points, actually 1,050. And there's a little bit of a chance of failure on that, but I still want to take a risk with that. Let's just spend some R&D points, try and get them to go, and then hopefully they'll come in just like our engine upgrade did. Chassis, everything is purchased right now, so we just got to wait for the upgrade to come in with our money that we need to spend on the facility. So we can't upgrade anything there, and we're also going to upgrade the spark plugs in our power unit, so that should give us a little bit more performance. And so now you can see that we're actually doing very, very well on the R&D chart. We might actually have a chance to get quite a few points this season and beat some teams in the Constructors' Championship. We've got 3 upgrades on the way, hopefully coming in for the 31st of March and the 5th of April if they all come in successfully. They're all in development right now with a little bit of a chance of failure, but I'm hopeful that we'll get these upgrades in. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on so that you don't miss part number 3 from the Australian Grand Prix. I'm very much hopeful that we can get some more points in that one, maybe even 2 or 3 points with a 9th or an 8th, because I actually am pretty good at this track relative to the other tracks. So I'm feeling very, very confident going into this one with some more upgrades coming on the way, hopefully. So hopefully we can get some stuff going for the second race of the season. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at @IR_media_ for all sorts of channel news, updates, and highlights even sometimes. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Also, down below, make sure to comment. I'd just love to hear what you guys like the most about My Team Career Mode. Not like my Team Career Mode, but like just in general, the game mode on the game. I want to know what you guys like the most about it. I'm just curious to know, what is it that you like the most about it? Is it just the management aspect, the customization, just driving your own car? What is it that you like the most? I'd love to hear down below. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Noah, and peace out.